Hello! I'm late for my own party. Wow, I can't even get this. There we go. But hi, today I'm going to talk about costume design and I'm just gonna switcherino this view. I have new artwork. This is not by me, this is by Rivka Winter, who you saw in last week's stream, and I love it because it glows in the dark. But today we're going to talk about costume design. And for a moment, you're going to get some shaky cam action because that's how I roll these days. Also, I want to show off my brand new fancy sketchbook. Look at this. Ooh, fancy sketchbook. Anyway, fancy sketchbook's gonna tuck away under my desk for a moment. And I want to share with you some of the costume design stuff I have done in the past. Because that was a job of mine that I had and made money with. And, figured I might share some of that with you. So these particular sketches are from when I did costume design for a children's theater, which was CTAA in Connecticut. Hi, Jessica Crisp! And one of my friends, aka Blarm, who you saw in last week's video, was wondering about costume design and how do you approach it. So I figured I'd share that today. This particular sketch was for a reindeer, as you can probably tell by the antlers. And then they were all dance costumes, so I had to really consider how they were being used when I was designing things. I also frequently had to alter mice and add a button flap, and brass buttons was the idea. So I'd have to frequently use things that were in the stock and reinvent them into new characters. Because, budgets are a thing. You can only do so much with so much money, but actually you can do a lot with a little bit, as long as you have something to work with and a little time. So this was an idea for a snowflake dancer, and this wasn't the final design that I ended up going with. That was just a rough sketch. Here's a horse, and I did actually hire a puppet maker to make that for me. Her name was Ashley, but I'm not sure if she'll want me to shout her out in this video, so I'll just leave it at Ashley. But she did an amazing job making the masks for me for all of these costume designs. This is more where the snowflakes ended up going, and this is the imp character, but a lot of the dancers that had to do the imp characters were also snowflakes, so I ended up using the same kind of belly dancer wrap pants that I had made for one character, and then just added some horns and some elbow fringe and called it a new character. BAM! Because you know what? Quick changes are a legitimate concern. Over here I have the snow bees, and a lot of these are just really rough sketches because I had, I think, 62 dancers that year. Somewhere between 58 and 62, those are the numbers that are sticking out in my head. And only a couple weeks to build all of their costumes, so it was just quick sketch, think it out, and then moving on. These are gypsy girls, so they've got their leotard and then some puffy sleeves that are separate because I planned that out. Yeah! And then headbands with ribbons so that it was quick and easy to put on. And then just like long skirts and things like that. Multicolored ribbons. Everything had to be really, really quick to put on and switch into another costume. Here's a spirit guide. She did not end up on stage, but I enjoyed sketching her. And then there were some other costume designs. This one was a sunbeam, so she had a little bit of a halo effect going on, and then a big kind of ribcage costume. And the Blue Jays had some beaks and some big, long, just elastics at the shoulder kind of wings. This is the one that I used in the thumbnail. This was one of my favorite costume designs, but really, anytime it's like slightly creepy and a little weird, it's always my favorite. So this one was paper masks cut to look like beaks, and then just little accents and vests and things. Otherwise, it was just leggings and a ripped up piece of cloth for their wings there. So this was the crows. And I have so many from this particular dance group because there were so many different pieces and so many different characters. So that's why I wanted to start here and just share some things with you. This was my design for the Snow Queen herself. I did actually end up making that crown out of plastic. What did I use for that? I ended up using like Christmas decorations to make the crown. It was a lot of broken pieces of fake snowflakes and plastic icicles to make that one. The wig didn't end up happening. That just ended up being her real hair. But everything else kind of came together in the end. This one, I had to hire help for. My friend Mary ended up sewing all of these roses on people and these petal skirts and things, and it was a nightmare because there were 30 of them. There were 30 of them. It was a lot of kids that we were designing costumes for. This I pulled out of the catalog because I thought that was inspiring, and maybe we could just buy something, but we didn't. Here's another version of the Snow Queen, and this is the actual flower costume that ended up happening. And we didn't have time to add all the shoulder things, but we did have the base with all the corsets and stuff. So that is kind of what I have for costume design. I did go to school for costume design. I went to the University of Connecticut for that. And I would show you more of the sketchbook, but I'd have to like go back and censor some things because there are storyboards for horror movies in the front of this. Where there is gore and nudity and not things that are YouTube appropriate. So, we're not going into that book today. We are, however, going under my desk for a second and grabbing this. You know. And this is where I want to do some character design today, / costume design. It's kind of the same thing in my head. You can't have a costume design without a character first. So we're going to start there. So, please excuse the extra shaky cam as I get my phone attached. There we go. And now I can open up my big fancy new book. So excited about this. I'm also bummed because I already lost the dang slip that said who made this. And if I figure it out later, I will post it in the comment section. Description later, but I'm not sure who made this sketchbook at this point. This is my persona, in case you don't know. That's Fiona, and I wanted to start my sketchbook with her, because I feel like, I don't know, I'm happier when I draw furry stuff, and I need to draw more furry stuff. So maybe we're going to draw a persona today. I don't know. This beauty, just to flex a little, because I'm really proud of this one, is the monster version of Tristan, who I was sharing a booth with this past weekend at Anthrocon, and that was super fun. And then this is a character design I started based on someone I was talking to. They have a Sona that is both a rooster and a pig, and I wanted to know what that looked like. Oh yay, Drive the Crisp is going to draw along too. Thanks. I think it'll be fun. We can all take kind of the same prompt and roll with it. Okay, so one thing I need to press out the spine of this book a little because it's still a little stiff at the moment. And put some stuff on one edge to keep it all together. So now let's talk about, as I put on some dramatic music for the background. Yay. Let's talk about character design. So, character design normally for me comes from something like an existing piece of story, which I think is why I have always kind of found myself drawn to doing illustration as opposed to just inventing characters. So let's create a character / a story. Let's say, honestly, my brain's just going to existing characters that I need to draw pictures of. But let's do that. Let's start with a character that I'm very familiar with. So I have this character named Victoria. Let me use a pen so you can actually see what I am doing. So we have, make this a little bit more aesthetically pleasing as we go. We have Victoria. Wow. Okay, this new setup, my new desk that I have, is not as stable as my old one, so the camera's a little bit shakier. Apologies in advance. I'll figure that out better for next week. / be more gentle as I draw. But Victoria Bigglesworth Hayes is her name. Victoria is the leading character of a podcast called The Lift. It's a podcast that I have been a part of since the beginning and have, done book illustrations of. Have I shown you that yet? I don't think I've shown you that yet, but I'll show you that another time. I did actually publish a book. It's full of my art, and it's all based around this particular character. So I am very comfortable with drawing Victoria. But let's start with her basics. She is a young child. And this is how I usually approach doing character design and costume design. I start with what I know for sure. I know she has pigtails. Anita, yes! I love The Lift. I'm so glad that you listen to it and enjoy it. So she has pigtails, she has purple ribbons in her hair. She always wears an old-fashioned kind of Victorian dress. And she is frequently seen holding a music box and/or standing in an elevator. So with these things, I know she's a young, not just a child, but a young girl. I should add that. That's kind of important. Knowing the gender identity of your character definitely matters. So young girl, in this case, she is a feminine female. I've been thinking a lot about gender lately. And I think with character design sessions moving forward, I'm going to have kind of a spectrum of gender. Because there's feminine female all the way to masculine male, and then everything in between, including just non-binary, someone who doesn't identify as either. And I think it'd be a lot cooler / a lot more inclusive to have all of the gender identities as the first thing. Because normally you start with the character design, you're like, okay, boy or girl, next. No, more. I want more from us as artists. Anyway, so we have Victoria. She's young, so we've got a bigger head and a smaller body. Normally when you're drawing people, they are 8 heads high to be proportional, but when it is a child, it goes anywhere from, I think, 3 heads high to like 5 or 6, all the way up to 8. But I kind of will just be sketching this one out because I'll explain as I go. Anyway, so I'm going to start with just the base of a girl. And she may end up a little bit more chibi in this rendition, because that's what I seem to be feeling like drawing. Music has disappeared. Let's grab another one. Okay. So I also know from listening to the show that she has a bit of, well, I mean, she has a lot of character for sure, but she can get really sassy. And obstinate is a good word. I don't know how to spell that. Obstinate, if I scribble it enough, it's close. I rely heavily on autocorrect and Google to check my spelling, which is terrible. But there you go. So, fun fact, drawing the head larger than you would normally draw makes it a younger person or a younger character. And I'm going to draw Victoria with her hands on her hips, because I feel like she's working with someone right now who is not really willing to listen to her advice or take her guidance, even though that's why she's here. So now let's talk about costume design as we're getting into the character here, it all kind of blends together in my head. A lot of the time, the costume, the character, the attitude, it's all kind of one and the same. So for her, I know, okay, we have pigtails, right? I also know she has curly hair. These are all clues that I've gotten from the podcast itself and from the stories in the book. I've also often heard her having a high-necked collar to her dress. There's another clue. She's frequently described as wearing a dress. Now, about here is where I would normally go and do some research. What would a Victorian child wear in the general time frame that she existed? So, I still have from college this other notebook, which I will flip through with you. It is no longer a portfolio, I just used the same container. I need more space. But in here, I have all of my notes from my costume design class. And these are all just pages upon pages. It's basically an entire, textbook on just costume design, which I did have a textbook for. But why I keep all of my notes is because I learn best by drawing. So let me find where all those start to pop in. So I made sure to keep all of my tests so I could review them later. And look, I got a B+. Good job, passed me. I did a thing. Anyway, more importantly, I would pay attention to what was on the screen visually during class, and I'd write or draw down the things that I thought were particularly interesting or that I wanted to make sure I'd remember later. So this was the Egyptian time frame, and I learned about the actual society of things and how that affected the costumes that they would wear, and frequently I still go into historic research to find details for how to design a costume. Hello, Hanlu! So I'd find things like, how did that maybe fit on their head? What were the different shapes of wigs? Going into Greco-Roman time frame, how would these things maybe actually fit on their body? So I still use a lot of actual research and Pinterest in particular to figure out what someone might have been wearing, what kind of cultural context might they have had, and I'm really glad that I took such good notes when I was in this class, because I still kind of flip through them, like, oh hey, 1440, look at those point gilded doublets, they stop at the waistline. Good to know, because it's little details like, where's the waistline? That totally will throw off where you're setting your character, when you're setting your character as well. So, all sorts of things. So, at this point, in the design of Victoria, I would go research, what the heck does a Victorian child wear? Thankfully, I have done this research, so I actually know, generally speaking, what it is. So, digging back into this, I know that they frequently had, and some of this, I fully admit, is artistic license. Because that's one of the wonderful things about us as artists, is we can kind of just make stuff up as we go sometimes. So, from my memory, they usually wore a higher waist. And on girls' clothing, little girls' clothing, it was okay for it not to go all the way to the floor. At least that's generally the license that I take with this. But with women, full-grown women, you can't show those ankles. In fact, you didn't even want to show your toes most of the time. It was very restrictive, very, what's the word I'm looking for? That's not the word at all. Prim? Proper? That's still not the word I'm looking for. Anyway, so, in this case, I'm gonna go with, she's a kid, she can still get away with that. and I really want to add a little extra to her costume up here. So I'm adding a little bit of fluff to the shoulders, and then slimming it down into a ruffled wrist. I'm currently drawing... Oop, let's see. Abby, I missed your comment. I want to see it. Live chat. Currently drawing a can of Diet Coke in a photorealistic style on gray toned paper. That's awesome. I don't always have the patience for photorealism, personally. I end up in kind of an illustrative mode a lot of the time, but I feel like there's a lot to learn from trying to draw things photorealistically. Okay, so now I've got a little bit of her skirt done. This is kind of a basic pose going on here. I feel like I'm going to get a lot of her obstinate personality from the tilt of the chin, like she's looking up, kind of tilting her chin up, like, hey, you gotta listen to me. Up around the face, a lot of the time we've drawn her, we being those of us who draw Victoria for the lift, we draw her with fringe. Technically, though, that's not historically accurate. Fringe was not popular in this time frame, but it's become part of her canon, so we draw it. Any tattoos? Not on me, not on Victoria at the moment. But we could draw the next character with tattoos, which would definitely be fun. So I'm going to write down tattoos on the next page for our next character. If you guys want to give suggestions on things to add to this character, just let me know as I'm finishing up this sketch of Victoria, and the next one I will use your suggestions to create a new character. So I've got Victoria with her bows. Boop-a-doo. Also, the new season of The Lift is going to be coming out soon, and I know too many things that I can't talk about, but I'm so excited about where the story is going for this season. Ugh, it's going to be so great. Where am I from? I am from the exotic land of Connecticut, USA. Which doesn't feel exotic to me, but I feel like anyone who lives anywhere just feels unexotic. If that makes sense? I hope that makes sense. Alright, so... gonna draw in face like I normally do. With child characters, your eyes get a little bit bigger. And I am going for kind of an illustrative look, so it's not going to be super realistic right now. Sorry for the camera shaking. I'll figure out my tripod next time. Anywhere outside of Europe, to me, is exotic. That's awesome, Abby. Where are you from? Alright, let's, zoom in with a very dramatic creak, so you guys can see a little bit more of the eyes happening. So, the face is where a lot of the character design comes in, I think. Because if we're going with kind of a generic pose to just show the costume design, then it's important to have that little extra going on here. You know what? I don't think she's quizzical. I think she needs to be almost angry, like, oh, come on. She's frustrated with somebody today. They're in her building, but they are not listening. For Victoria, I really like to go with a rounder nose. Well, almost buttony. It's one of my favorite noses to draw. And then big cheeks. And she's gonna have little pursed lips because she is frustrated. Just, why are you doing that? Why don't you listen to me? You're on my elevator. You have a choice to make. Come on. Usually draw her with a little bit of eyelash, not too much. It's not like she's wearing falsies or anything. She is a kid. I'm gonna have her looking up over here. So I have squished that eye. Good job. Oh, I'm so afraid to erase things because I feel like you're just gonna get Shake City from my tripod right now. So, as far as costume design goes, I did go to the University of Connecticut for it. Learned it there, and then I did do costume design for quite a while. Did costumes for theater, and then I also did costumes in film for a little while before I kind of transitioned to doing the sets mostly. But I still love costume design so much, and that's generally why I end up doing illustrations so much, is because it just feels like the easy way of doing costume design is just to draw it. I always enjoyed my renderings and the design process more than the actual sewing process, although I got good at that too, and there was joy in sewing. It just wasn't as much fun for me as the imagining it up. I think that's why I've kind of turned into more of an illustrator than a costume designer these days. I need to find longer, royalty-free songs to play during these. Let's listen to Reconciliation. If it's too dramatic, I will change it. There we go. Got a nice little pout going here. Love that. Hey, Victoria. You look so grumpy today. I love it. And yes, I do talk to my drawings a lot while I'm working on them. They're like, hey, stop fighting with me. I'll be like, stop drawing badly. Well, you stop fighting and I'll draw better. It's a weird place in my head sometimes. Do any of you do that? Do you talk to your drawings as you're drawing? Especially when they're being particularly difficult? Italian family, but currently in Ireland. That's awesome. Any pets? I do. I have 2 pets. I have 2 cats. One is a black cat named Phoebe, who loves hanging out on a rug in the bathroom. That's her favorite thing to do these days. And a big marshmallow fluff named Jubilee. She loves sitting wherever I am, for the most part. Even though today it's really, really hot where we are, and it's so hot in my office, but she spent the whole day in my office, regardless. Hashtag Team Cats, yay! You talk to your computer, Anita? I believe that. I feel like your characters probably get out of hand sometimes and need a lot of vocal encouragement. Got some bows. Those will be purple. Now I'm drawing the hair out. I always imagine Victoria with curly, long curly hair. And you'll notice my proportions are entirely off. I'm just kind of fixing them as I go. There are certainly ways to do this better and to plan things out better before you jump in, but I didn't use those today. My handwriting is so aesthetic. Thank you! Part of that is to hide when I misspell things. And I also really like the look of just scribbled cursive handwriting. So much. Like, I look at the old entries from Charles Darwin when he was out doing his investigations. And his handwriting is just so beautiful. It's one of my favorite things, is to look at old letters and just try to figure out how the heck did they write like that. I mean, they had to write every day, but it just looked like it took no effort to be truly stunning with their handwriting. Alright, this arm is not where it needs to be at all. Because this would be her chest. This is her waist. I'm giving her higher waist than she needs, because that's where I think the actual skirt would land. Here we go. Just needed to go further out. That looks better. Can't read my own handwriting. Some days I can't read my own handwriting either, and it's a little bit like, who wrote this? Who has such messy handwriting? Oh, that's me. My sister has stunning handwriting. She took a calligraphy class in college, and she just kind of kept up with it. Now her handwriting, just for writing regular notes, look amazing. So jelly. Jelly, did I just say that? Yes, I did. I just said I'm jelly. So let's say we're designing a new character, which we will be in a moment. So maybe I won't say that yet, but the character design is generally, costume design rather, is decided on a couple key factors. And it's the same things that we answer all the time if we're writing something, creating something. Who are they? What are they doing? When do they exist? And where are they? So if you have someone who is a merchant and is selling stuff at a marketplace in the medieval ages, they're going to look very different from someone who is a merchant who is trying to sell their wares in a marketplace in the year 3025. You know, all those little details affect the character that you're going to draw and the costumes that they're going to wear. Okay, so now I've got Victoria pretty much here. Add a little fluff and stuff here. I would make a great art teacher. Aw, thanks. That's my goal. Kinda. I don't entirely know what my goals are, actually. Part of my life's journey right now is to figure out what my goals are. Does anyone else struggle with that? I don't know what I want from life, therefore I'm just, you know, doing the best I can. Oh, her proportions are very strange. I feel like her arms should be a little bit longer. But, you know, we'll just erase these lines, make her feet a little bit smaller and daintier. I think that'll help. I just want more cats in life. That's a good goal. That was a solid life goal there. I think I've drawn her just, and again, man, I use research a lot, and to get proportions of kids right, I heavily rely on research. So I'll probably stop here because I'll want to come back with some actual references to look at what the proportions should be, because I feel like something in the torso is wrong. But hey, I've basically got the costume figured out, which is actually, oh, I figured it out. Skinny up that torso. Wow, look at that. Oh my goodness. She was too barrel-chested. Hey, Victoria. let's bring that torso. Oh my goodness, that's so much better. Always learning. Just keep trying. Okay, she could use some more tweaking. But here's Victoria. It's a young girl wearing pigtails, purple ribbons in her hair. old-fashioned dress. Music box I left out. Elevator I left out because I really don't want to do set design right now. But sassy and obstinate, however you pronounce that or spell that, I don't know. But here she is. Here's a rough Victoria that I will come back to. Not right now, but later. Because right now, what I want to do is jump into a character design with you guys real quick. So I'm going to do some random prompt generation here. Boop. This is where I use one of my favorite tools, which is, and by tool I mean game. Where are you? Jazza! Your arty prompt game is the best. This is the most exciting point in time where you get to watch me like go through my computer. Wow. There it is. Hey Jazza, you okay? Oh my god, I love Pokemon. I have been super obsessed with Pokemon lately. Like extra. I've got this little set from my childhood I found on eBay. These weren't mine initially, but I've got a tape dispenser that's Jigglypuff and a measuring tape that's Poliwhirl and a pencil sharpener that's a Bulbasaur. I love Pokemon, and that's, you know, what I'm doing. I just saw something from JavaCrisp. I'm hoping I can pull my comment section back up. Java, what did you say? Struggling with an outfit for a character that can shapeshift. Ooh, tell me more. What? You know what? Let's instead of picking something new, let's talk about what Java's up to. So you have a character who can shapeshift. Does their clothing shapeshift with them? Or does it have to work with all of their different forms? Because that's tough. That, I feel like we're getting into Hulk territory, where, like, Bruce Banner just wears the shorts that are way too big on him when he's really skinny, and he just bunches them up and wears a belt. And then when he gets big, they're like, boom, busting out at the seams. This is his waist, by the way. Or does the power to shapeshift include the clothing that they're wearing? Kind of like Alex, what's the name of the character from Teen Titan who shapeshifts? Oh no, he's far away. Isn't it Miss Martian? No. Ah, Google, help! This is a very important thing to learn right now. Teen Titan shapeshifter. Shaper? Close enough. Ah! Oh, duh. Beast Boy. I totally mixed up his power with hers. That's who I was thinking, and that's entirely wrong. Anywho. I fail. Teen Titan fail. Okay, Java's gonna explain the character. And then we'll jump into that. Also, thank you, Hanmu. Beast Boy is who I was thinking of, and I wasn't paying attention to the chat. Getting a Piplup tattoo next week. Aww! I love that character. Third generation, don't know how to keep my colors or get a blue watercolor background. That's cool. Starfire! Again, thank you. I'm totally blanking on character names today. Piplup is so cool. Do you have other tattoos? Because I feel like based on that, that'd be whether you go black and white or color. Because I feel like when I get tattoos, they will all be black and white, because that's just the one thing I've always consistently liked. Alright, I'm gonna make just a generic body here with a little tiny bit of sass, which is the hip. By the way, lots of sass, you just give it a little hip thingy. Tilt. That's the word I'm looking for. Nailed it. Nailing English #1 today. Anyone watch Nerdy Crafter? You'd understand that reference. Anyway. So I've got just a general thing. So he can move and transform a part of his body, his skin and bone, etc., and can attack like that. I need to pull up my YouTube's channels so I can actually read your dang comments before they disappear. This is my problem. Can also regenerate like that. Cool. I'm addicted. Have a Linkin Park tattoo. Moon phases, roses with a cat skull. That's so cool. And any clothes can move with him. They can't. Okay. So he can transform himself. So we have we have shapeshifter. Java, when/where does this character exist? Is it modern day? Is it future? Somewhere in the past? So shapeshifter, is it a fantasy world where time and history don't matter? Because it does matter in our world. So I think I gave him too much sass. Ooh, if he's a shapeshifter though, we could go with a more animalistic pose. Hi, Adam Fox! It's okay. I'm kind of running over today. So you have... all we've done so far is talked about some character design using Victoria, whom you can tell looks a little bit like a little person right now, rather than a child. It has something to do with her proportions of her body. I'll figure it out later, though. Right now, we are going to do some costume design for a shapeshifter. So, I think he's in kind of a dramatic pose. Modern day Japan. Ooh, cool. That's awesome. Okay. So this is usually where I would go do some research, but I think I've watched enough anime to have some generic idea of what modern day Japan might wear. I feel like giving him kind of an action pose. Thinking Mystique from X-Men. Yes! And she doesn't shapeshift clothing. Does she? She does, doesn't she? She does shapeshift clothing. This shapeshifter does not shapeshift clothing, so we're kind of gonna figure that out. Java, what creatures or forms does he like to take? Because if he just goes full mouse mode, I feel like his clothes just wouldn't come with him. You know, he's too little, can't carry it. It's not gonna happen. But if he goes, I don't know, dragon mode, maybe if you wear something stretchy enough, that would work. He's like about to leap over a garden wall here. That's what I'm thinking. Because if he wants to blend in, he's probably going to wear something normal looking. And he'd want something that could kind of change based on gender expectations if he's changing into a female sometimes. So something kind of generic would probably work best, and I'm thinking like kind of classic school uniform where you have maybe an unbuttoned, slightly unbuttoned dress shirt, little tie action. And, you know, the nice thing about general society is girls can usually wear pants as well as boys. So you can just have him in pants. But maybe his pants are a little bit stretchy. I'm being so stereotypical with this character design right now. It's like, whoa, here's like a basic costume. Dragon pants. I like the idea of dragon pants. It's just like, woo, I've got a tail. Dragon pants. I mean, let's say he doesn't need to blend in, right? He can take forms, but he can take a lump of flesh and can capture someone. Ooh! Whoa, that's cool. Bone shield, lump of flesh. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Ooh. He/they. Cool. He/they. Okay, so in this world of modern day Japan, is there something he's fighting? That they're fighting? Or a goal that they're trying to pursue? Because I feel like if we're talking let's blend in and not show off your powers, you want to wear what everybody else is wearing. If you don't care about the blending in part and you want to stick out, have like a character, maybe this guy is superhero level, fighting demons, I don't know, that could be cool. They don't have to wear what everybody's wearing during the day if they're out to fight some bad guys, right? So this is where I would normally, and I'm going to because I'm not this clever, go to Pinterest and do a little research. And Japan's such a delightful choice. I think I just missed a message. Hang on. Let me go to my channel. We'll have a little bit of an echo for a second. Yep. Muted. Okay. Okay, I didn't miss anything on there. So let's look up Japan street fashion and maybe punk. Like, how cool would that be? Something oversized that can work for the bigger forms that they take. Oh, we're ending up on Tumblr. Hey, Tumblr, how you doing? Wow, that is fabulous, and I highly approve. But it doesn't take me to the image I want to take a closer look at. That does, maybe. Yes, okay. Like, I love street fashion shots. I find them very inspiring because you see all these layered looks and things. But I feel like with the shapeshifter, having something that gives them a little bit of room to grow or shrink would be a really good idea. Having some different layers to hide when they're out and about, but then can just like whoosh, take off the jacket. There's like no sleeves so that their bone shield can come out of their arm or something. That's a cool idea. I like that. Basically OC of Banha. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Guess people can capture. Missed that. Save people, capture villains. So the next OC should draw someone from the steampunk era. Ooh, love steampunk. Love it so much. Hells to the yeah. So I'm just gonna steal a few ideas from the street fashion we just looked up at on Pinterest. Slap that onto this little character we've got started. And then we'll probably call it a night. Because apparently dinner's ready. What genre do I listen to the most? I'm kind of all over the place. I do listen to a lot of rock. Dubstep, techno. Anything I can sing along to, so musicals and pop. K-pop I've started getting into. Blackpink, I think is their name. I just started listening to them. I'm like, wow, this is great. I don't know what took me so long to get into the K-pop scene, but I'm so glad I finally found it. Typing Trippy only seeing screen. I know, right? So weird. Seeing a screen on your screen. I thought about that. Did not think about that, actually. I'm just, I don't know. So good at getting distracted? Yes. I'm very good at getting distracted. I really love that first piece that we saw. Marilyn Manson? Oh yeah. Heck yeah. Love Manson. You're not alone there, my friend. I really like the idea of a layered look for this character so that they can kind of change up whenever they need to. And also, Java, I'd have to look up the show that you mentioned because I haven't seen it to see what they generally look like. So I'm just kind of rolling with how I feel. I still think pants are a good idea because if you're going around rescuing people, kicking butt, you need some practical clothing. So I'd probably go with some skinny jeans here. And some boots. Depending. Hairstyles. I don't know yet. I was thinking something short. And like, that could kind of go with whatever gender. So you know how there's a lot of that short in the back, kind of longer and fuller in the front stuff? That's what I'm thinking. So you can get kind of a whatever out of that hairstyle there. Asymmetrical bob. Heck to the yeah. And maybe a softer jawline. Gonna give you an aggressive, far too aggressive face. But a big smile like, haha, I'm onto you. I really need to practice my anime eyes. I love how people draw anime, and I am not good at it. My style is very Western. I also love horror movies. Abby, I feel like we've got a lot in common here. What's your favorite horror movie, Abby? Alright, so I've got a nice big coat, cloak thingy, which can, you know, hide layers that need to be ditched later. And pockets. Pockets are useful. Can't fight the world without pockets. Every Saw movie ever made. Nice! Hiding behind my laptop over here is a pastel version of Saw. Just the first one. I haven't watched all of them yet, but I am enjoying the journey. Don't ask me why it took me so long to join the Saw party, but I'm late but excited to be here. Billy the Puppet! Yes! Hard not to win there. Alright, so far we have... Oh, you know what? Let's go with some of those... I don't even know what they're called, but those big poofy sneakers that are super expensive and in right now. All I know about them is that they're poofy, they're expensive, and they look cool. What are they called? Beats the heck out of me, I don't know. But that's what I'm giving him. Some chunky, funky shoes. Chunky, funky shoes to go and fight the bad guys in. It's the only way to fight bad guys. This is Chunky Funky Shoes. Two eyes on one side and shut on the right. Ooh, cool. So this one would be shut. Right? No, that's his left eye. Nightmare on Elm Street. Very good movie. All of them. So two eyes on this side. That's cool. Let's do this. Double eye action. Nailed it. Great. Need to fix that nose. The messy city skyline? Heck yeah. He definitely seems like he'd be in an urban setting. Alright. So I'm gonna add a few spiky doos on here. I'm gonna shade that up. American Horror Story. I have watched the first few seasons, but I haven't seen the most recent two. My favorite by far has not been overthrown is the one with the witches. It was just fun. They had such great characters, man. Alright, bunched up at the sleeves, because, you know, working. Gotta be able to reach things. Do stuff. Also more fashionable. Or so I am told by Pinterest. I'm apparently just going with puffy sleeves today. Here, let me just... Whoop, get rid of the puff. Alright, so we've got this. This character's going for a quick... I'm gonna catch somebody and then... Whoop! Gotta zoom out a little. Add a little skyline going on up here. Sarah Paulson is your wife. I love it. Totally love it. Coven is your favorite too? Nice. I don't know, I really thought that I was going to enjoy the circus one, but I didn't like it as much. I'm not quite sure why. Alright. Messy skyline of a city. Here's a bush. It's about to go into the park. Chase after that guy! Okay, so here was a little character design. Freak Show soundtrack. Ooh, yeah, that is true. It did have a good soundtrack. The story just didn't catch me as much as the other stuff did. But here is Java's character. Java, if you leave me the name, I'll write it in here. But inspired by Japanese street fashion and brought to you by Java's brain. Love it. Yes, I also enjoy the female power and energy of Coven. And then this was where we started with a little bit of just kind of basic costume designy stuff. Shift, oh, I'm gonna mispronounce that every time, but I'm gonna write it down. Shifuto. That makes sense. Shifuto. Shaifuto. Anyway, that's his name now. Thank you, Java, for sharing your character with us. And thank you guys for joining me on a random costume design adventure. In the future, I'd like to do some of these again, but as kind of an art challenge mode. That's probably what I'll do next week. Also, I'm thinking next week I'll again do 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, because that kind of works better for me. And yeah, so thank you guys. I will see you next week. Bye!